Alright, hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is Casey, and in today's reading, we're going to be looking at how can you balance your life. And the three areas of life that we're going to be looking at here are your rest, your work, or like leisure time, and rest, work, and leisure time. Yeah, I don't know why I thought there was more. There's actually just those three. I think to live a balanced life, there are a lot more areas that we could talk about, but those are the three main areas that I think, if you're all just work, rest, you're not really having any fun. That's how people reach burnout. Or if you're just constantly working and you're not getting any rest, then, I mean, you're just gonna crash. Or if you're not working enough, you might be feeling like I should be doing more, you constantly have stress on yourself, or you feel like you're not advancing as much. So I wanna look at how you can improve all of those areas, but while also keeping a healthy balance, because like I said, if you can properly keep these three areas in balance, you're gonna feel like your body is healthy, you're getting enough rest, and also the amount of fun that you have, allowing yourself to have leisure time, allowing yourself to have a hobby. That's also just gonna make you feel more excited about life. You're not gonna feel like you're nothing but a workhorse. So that is what we're gonna be going over in today's reading. Today I have three different readings for you to choose from. You have pile 1 with the blue lace agate, pile 2 with the dendritic agate, and pile 3 with the labradorite. So go ahead and pause, figure out which reading you feel most drawn to. I'll leave timestamps down in the description box so you can quickly jump to whichever reading that you want to listen to. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, pile 1. If you chose the blue lace agate, then this is the reading for you. And like I said in the intro, if you didn't listen to the intro, the areas of life that we're looking at for you that need to be balanced are work, play, and sleep, or relaxation. And what I'm seeing for you here is the biggest thing is you need to give yourself more rest and more time to your hobbies and your passions. Because I see with your work, specifically with the Two of Swords and death, when I got out the death card, I heard the words like working yourself to death. And I don't know what your job is, but I get the sense that you perform a lot better when you're in a better state of mind. Specifically, like if it's a creative job or it requires inspiration or I don't know, maybe it requires like working with others. That's the kind of thing where you can't just click a few keys on a keyboard and no matter how you feel, it's gonna be the same thing. Like I feel like your work is dependent on how clear-headed you are, how you're feeling, and that's why it's really important for you to be able to partake in your hobbies, to be able to partake in your passions, and to be able to make sure that you're getting enough rest, enough relaxation. Because when you're not, that's when your work starts to suffer, and when your work starts to suffer, then you get anxious, then you get freaked out, and then you're like, oh my god, why isn't this working? And then so you try to work more instead of, okay, let's take a step back, let's prioritize ourselves, let's bring ourselves back into balance, and then let's get back to work. But instead of doing that, you're just like, okay, work isn't working out, I'm not feeling good, let's keep trying to work more. And with the Two of Swords, this card is all about feeling like you don't really know the next step forward, or like you're having trouble making decisions, you're having trouble taking action. And I'll give you an analogy of, let's take like a writer, for instance. Like let's say that they hit writer's block. That's when I would see the Two of Swords. It's like they're not feeling it, they don't know what to write about next. And so like let's say their friend calls them up and is like, hey, do you want to go like hang out at the park? Do you want to go have some fun outside? And the writer is like, no, I can't. I really need to finish this chapter. And so instead they just sit there banging their head against the wall, unable to figure out what they want to do next. When in reality, maybe if they had gone to the park, if they had had some fun, allowed themselves to relax and feel rejuvenated, they would have come back to their work feeling a lot lighter, feeling ready to work, and just feeling energized, and all of a sudden their writing is flowing. Like, I feel like that's you. If you've been feeling really dissatisfied in your work, or like you aren't very confident in your decisions, maybe you just need to relax. Maybe you just need to partake in your hobbies. Maybe you need to take some time to yourself. Allow yourself to rejuvenate and then work on, okay, where's my inspiration coming from next? What needs to be worked on next? There's this saying that my mom would always say, and it's like sharpening the saw. And she would say, like, if you just keep working, and you're working to the point that your saw is getting dulled down, continuing to work harder and faster isn't going to make it any more efficient. It's just going to make you more tired. You need to take breaks to sharpen the saw. And I feel like that is the biggest thing that you need to hear right now. Is like the one thing throwing you out of balance is your work. quite literally you're working yourself to death, and it's making it so you don't know your steps forward, and eventually it'll get to the point where you can't really take steps forward because you're so exhausted or you just are so beaten down. So next, what I see for you, your hobbies. You have the magician and passion. I feel like there are hobbies you already know that you're super passionate about. You already know what you love to do. And the thing about the magician card is, what they teach you about the magician card is this magician has all the tools available that he needs. On the table, he has the cup, the sword, the pentacle, and the wand. All he needs to do is decide he wants to work with them. And so what that means to me about your hobbies is you already know what your hobbies are. You just are not picking them up. You're just neglecting them. So, like, I don't need to tell you, like, well, it looks like this is your hobby. Like, you know what it is. Like, you know what you enjoy doing. Maybe it's video games. Maybe it's, I don't know, making sandcastles at the beach. Whatever it is, you know what it is. You know what you love to do, but you've been neglecting them because you're like, well, every minute that I'm doing that, I'm not working. Every minute that I'm doing that, I'm neglecting responsibility. Like, I should be able to get this work done. And what I have to say to you is, like I said, you need breaks to sharpen the saw. And those breaks don't just include like sleep, which is necessary. It is necessary for our physical body to, sleep and take rests. But a lot of the time we neglect the fact that it's actually very important to have fun. The importance of hobbies in our life is what keeps us going. It's what makes us excited about the future. It's what we enjoy most about life. So I encourage you, it's like you have all these toys on the table in front of you in the magician card and you just don't want to pick them up and you're like stubborn. You're like, I know they're right there. I know it would make me happy to use them, but I need to focus on this. I need to be an adult, not a child. And that's not true. I don't know why we have that huge distinction between being a child is wrong. Like, it's okay to be happy. It's okay to have fun. In fact, that's what you need right now. And I also see with rest and relaxation, a way that you could best provide rest for your body and for yourself is actually by spending some time outside. Specifically with the sun card and how you have this baby here that's like laying under, or not laying, but is under the sun. I get the sense that your body needs to make some vitamin D. You need to go outside. And it could be as simple as just like laying in a hammock or sitting in a chair outside, but anywhere that you can feel the sun on your face is going to make you feel rejuvenated. It's going to make you feel brighter, and maybe you really do need some vitamin D. And with the consciousness card, I think it's best for you to really just sit with your own voice in your head and nothing else. Like, I don't know if you use TikTok, or you're constantly on YouTube, or you're constantly on calls with other people, or you're constantly, like I said, working, and therefore you're not really getting any time to yourself. But I think specifically the practice of, maybe it's meditation or maybe it's just sitting outside, but I'd say even without a book, like just sitting, you and your thoughts and nothing else. Like, when was the last time that you just sat and didn't have some noise or some distraction coming at you or coming from your phone? I feel like that is going to best relax you. And obviously sleep is important, but I really see there being this need for you to just get outside and sit in the sunshine. Like, that is what's going to help you. So that's what I see. I mean, I feel like as far as work goes, you're going in the right direction, but it's also important to know that we need to take time to rest. We need to take time to have fun. We need to be able to sharpen that saw and take those breaks. And for you, it's not overcomplicated. Like, you already know what your hobbies are. You already know what you find fun. Just allow yourself some time throughout the week to go do that. When you get off work, allow yourself to do that. As far as rest and relaxation goes, I think spending more time outside, spending more time just getting out of technology and getting out of conversation or distractions and just sitting with yourself is going to make you feel a lot more grounded, a lot more clear-headed, because in this day and age, I mean, like TikTok, YouTube, you could constantly be listening to other things if you wanted to, but it's not really healthy. So that's what I'll leave you with, pile one. I encourage you to do all these things, and when you do, you will find that your life is a lot more balanced. But that is everything that I have for you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye. Alright, pile two. If you chose the dendritic agate, then this is the reading for you. And if you didn't listen to the intro, what this reading is about is essentially how can you live a more balanced life? And we're specifically looking at the areas of your work, your fun, so your hobbies or like just things you enjoy, and then rest, so relaxation, rejuvenation. How can you improve all of these areas to live a more balanced and healthy and happy life? Starting off with work, I feel like this is the source of your problems. And I don't see it saying that you should stop work necessarily, but with the Four of Wands reversed, this is like a lack of celebration. I don't know what your job is. I get the sense that for some of you, you might work from home, or at the very least, you don't have very good boundaries with your work. Like, are you allowing people to call and email you after hours, or like, are you working, like I said, after hours? Because it really seems like there's not a lot of boundaries with your work. Like, even in the time that, I'm having so many thoughts come to mind at once, but like, there's this book called Be Where Your Feet Are. I remember I was going to Barnes and Nobles and I just like stopped and I read this book for a little while. And it's all about being where your feet are. And one of the things that the guy talks about is how he used to let his work really interfere with his home life, even if it was just as simple as he was constantly thinking about it, even during dinner time with his kids. And something that he learned to improve was, okay, the moment that I get home, the moment I step over that threshold, I'm no longer thinking about work because I am being where my feet are, and my feet are at home, which means my mind is at home. My mind is focused on my children, my mind is focused on my spouse, my mind is focused on what ways can I have fun and relax now that I'm home. My mind is not on, oh, did I answer that email, or oh, what am I doing at work tomorrow? Leave that for work tomorrow. And something that I specifically do is I used to have these really bad anxieties of like thinking about my future and thinking about work and like all these things. And I set a boundary with myself of after 9 p.m., it's sleep time. Like, I am not letting myself think about those things. And so when I'd be laying in bed and I'd be trying to relax, I'd be trying to go to sleep, I'd have all these anxieties and thoughts coming up. I would look at the clock, I'd see it's past 9, I'm like, okay, nope. This is not burdening me right now. I have firm boundaries with this. So I think that's off the bat something that you need to hear about your work is you need to have boundaries with it, especially when it comes to your home. Like, you'll hear people talk about don't do things other than sleep in your bed because your bed will no longer become a place of rest. I think of it the same way with your home. It's tough if you work from home, that kind of is your office, but you need a clear distinction between, even if you live in a studio apartment, let's say your couch or like your kitchen table, that is work, and my bed, that is sleep. Create that clear distinction so that, if you're working in your bed, then you're going to start crossing the wires in your brain of like, oh, this space is no longer for sleep, this space is for stress. And that's not going to be great. I think a big thing that you need is a work-life balance, and that looks like having firm boundaries with your work. Telling people like, I'm sorry, you can't call me past my working hours because I'm off the clock right now. You're gonna have to save that question for tomorrow because I can't answer that right now. And it's tough, I know, especially if like you work from home in sort of a non-traditional job, or maybe it's like a startup and it's like, well, dude, I really need you to answer these emails. At some point you need to make a firm boundary or else it's just not healthy. And also with the Four of Wands reversed, this card is about a lack of celebration. And so I want you to ask yourself, like I said, I don't know exactly what kind of job that you have, but have you hit a milestone recently? Have you finished a big project recently? Whatever it is, you deserve to celebrate these things along the way. And as an analogy, let's think like if it's a startup, maybe you haven't fully gotten your place set up, like, I don't know, like if it's like for a shop or something, maybe the shop isn't fully open yet, but maybe you figured out everything that you want to have in like your inventory. I don't know. I don't really know how startups work, but like, let's say it's something like that where like, okay, we finished this chapter of this story. Okay, let's celebrate that. Instead of just pushing forward, pushing forward, pushing forward. It's the same thing with like shadow work that I talk about. Is it's important to do shadow work. It's important to do work on ourselves and be working on ourselves. But if you're constantly working on yourself, you're constantly viewing yourself as a piece of work who never gets to just take moments of saying like, this is where I am right now. yes, I'm not fully healed, but I'm also not just this object that needs to be completely worked on 24/7. I deserve to be celebrated along the way. And I think that's what you need for your work. Like, if you're just push, 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 and you're not allowing yourself to celebrate along the way, celebrate your wins, and be happy about what work you're getting done, I mean, eventually that's going to make you feel burnt out about the job itself. You need to be able to enjoy it and celebrate it and be happy for everything that you've done so far. And with the balance card, like I said, having those firm boundaries between, when you go home, you are home. You're no longer in the office. Or like I said, if you work from home, divide your home in half and say, this side is for work, and when I'm over here, I'm resting. This is my rest time. Or if it's something as simple as time, like I did, like after 6 p.m., I'm no longer thinking about this. I'm no longer working on it because this is me time. It's really important to have those boundaries, or else your life just feels like it's all over the place. And then so, looking at your hobbies, you have the Queen of Swords and the Surrender card. I feel the need to ask you, with the Queen of Swords is very serious. And with this having to do with hobbies, I feel the need to ask you, do you think that having fun is childish? Or do you feel like it's beneath you to do the things that you enjoy, or partaking in hobbies? That's just things for kids. Like, now that I'm a grown-up, that means I do grown-up things, and I'm not doing that anymore. And I hate to break it to you, but just because you reach a certain age and just because you have more responsibilities doesn't mean that we stop enjoying the things that we enjoyed as children. And it doesn't mean that you should neglect having fun in your life. Just being an adult doesn't just mean you're a workhorse that never allows yourself to indulge in your passions. And I want you to look at your life and ask, if I had, or let's say this, if I never had to work again, what hobbies would I want to pick up? Or if it's not working ever again, because maybe you love work, let's say, okay, if I got a month off, what would I want to do? Other than traveling, because I know everybody loves to travel, but right here at home, what would I want to do? Do you want to start baking because you love to bake? Do you want to build sandcastles at the beach because that's fun? When I was a kid, I used to love playing with mud and making things out of mud and making bricks to, make a kind of Adobe brick house. I thought that was so fun. And as an adult, maybe I don't like being messy anymore, but hell yeah, I'd love to make a sandcastle at the beach. That's fun. Really ask yourself, without judging it, what do you enjoy? What hobbies would you like to partake in? Because I really get the sense here that the current quote-unquote hobbies that you have right now are just very adult things. Truly ask yourself, what do I actually want to do? And don't come at it with the lens of, oh, well, that's too childish. That's for kids only. I can't do that anymore. Really tap into that inner child of yourself. With the surrender card, I'm getting the sense that you need to surrender to, what do you actually love? It's like as an adult, you're telling yourself, well, my hobbies consist of now Netflix and eating wine and cheese. And it's okay, you can enjoy those things, but there's a piece of your heart that loves, I don't know, painting or video games or doing things with your hands, maybe pottery, creating things. Maybe it's as simple as you want to play with some Play-Doh, and maybe you think people would judge you for that, but if it makes you happy, who cares what they say? Invite them to play with you. And then if they don't want to, you say, okay, go away. This is me time. This is what I'm doing right now. I think it's really important. And for so long, you've told yourself, well, that's childish. I shouldn't be doing that. No, you don't need to be serious all the time. And then finally, with rest and relaxation, you have the Knight of Pentacles reversed and peace. I'm seeing here that the Knight of Pentacles reversed is, like I said, I think you're a bit of a workaholic and you have trouble creating boundaries between when it's time to rest and when it's time to work. And I think the reason that you haven't been able to get proper rest is maybe you're, like I said at the beginning, maybe you're laying in bed at 9 or 10 p.m. at night and all you can think about is emails or the next work thing that you need to do. You need boundaries. There's a time for work and there is a time for rest. And what I'm seeing is you haven't been able to properly rest because your work is infiltrating that. You're unable to get off that horse. You're unable to stop working. And so with the Knight of Pentacles reversed, this is quite literally asking you, get off the horse, take off the armor, and just give yourself time to relax. And this doesn't need to necessarily look like it's just for sleep. Like, I'm also picturing in my mind, maybe this looks like making a nice bubble bath for yourself and just allowing your muscles to relax. Maybe it's giving yourself time to meditate or to journal. Like, something that my mom has started doing before bed is, well, she always journals, but she also has this like book of puzzles or whatever, and she just like outlines them like little mazes, and she'll do that for hours on end. But I mean, it's what she likes to do. It's what makes her feel relaxed. And for you, I think that's what you need. You just need to give yourself time to relax when you're not thinking about work. Keep in mind, work isn't just a time boundary. It's not just a physical boundary. It's also, it infiltrates your mind. And you need to start training your mind to not constantly think about work when you're outside of work. And I know it's tough. Like I said, I get the sense that a lot of you work from home or have been allowing yourself to take emails while you're at home. Like, my girlfriend, she just quit her old job. She moved on to a new job. But at her old job, she was constantly training new employees, and they would call her at like 8 in the morning when she hasn't even gotten into work yet, or they would call her late at night to ask questions, and she would always answer them. And in my mind, I was like, no, this is your time to be at home. Like, why are you answering those things? Obviously, I let her do her own thing because, I mean, it was a family business. She kind of had to do these things. But I feel like it's not healthy to allow people past your boundaries, and that's when things are out of whack. That's when all this balance is out of whack. And I think that that is something that you're going to need. It's going to take time and training, especially when it comes to what you think about at night. That's not going to change overnight. It's going to take time of training your brain to, okay, we're shutting off that side of my brain when it's time to rest and relax. But I really think it is something that you can do. I think that all of this is very simple, but it's still difficult in the fact that, like, with your hobbies, surrendering and allowing yourself to partake in things that maybe you think are silly, or maybe you think other people around you would judge you for. But you deserve to be able to do that. And with rest and relaxation, it's going to take time to train your brain, but it is very worth it. It's time to stop being a workaholic and define clear boundaries with your work and your life. So, Pile 2, that is everything that I have for you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye. Alright, Pile 3, last but certainly not least, if you chose the Labradorite, then this is the reading for you. Now, I want to say, if you felt really drawn to Pile 2 and Pile 3, I think it's because they're actually quite similar, but yours has some slight differences, so just keep that in mind. If this doesn't quite ring true, it could be that Pile 2 is more meant for you, but anyways. If you didn't listen to the intro, what this reading is essentially about is how can you live a more properly balanced life, specifically by looking at the areas of your work, looking at the areas of fun, play/hobbies, and then looking at the area of rest, relaxation, and rejuvenation. And so, starting off with work, I see you have the Moon and the Protection card. And the Moon card, to me, what I'm seeing here is you have this little lobster, which I think is you, and it's just trying to go down this path. It's trying to do work the proper way that it wants. And then I feel like the Moon is like your boss, and the Moon has its eyes closed, so the boss is like kind of like hands off, or like, I'm just not dealing with this anymore. But then you have these dogs that are fighting, and to me, this seems like there's work drama going on, and your boss isn't really doing the things that you need them to do, and then you have the people one level below them are like just fighting, they're at each other's necks, or they're being petty, they can't decide on certain things. And then there's you, this lobster, who's kind of like at the bottom of the food chain, can't really like tell people to shut up and start working because maybe you're beneath them, and you're just trying to go along this path, but everybody around you is fighting. I get this really just claustrophobic and stressed out energy from you of just, there's a lot of work drama. You feel like your boss isn't doing enough to sort things out and to make sure everybody's working together. There's people quite literally fighting with each other, being petty, and you have this fear that, like, is my job going to be at stake? Are they going to turn on me next? Am I not going to be able to get this work done? What if the company tanks because all this leadership is messed up? And what I see with the Protection card is you just need to put up some firm boundaries. And not necessarily with these people, because maybe they're above you and you can't tell them off, but you need to put up firm boundaries between you and worrying about this job. Like, yes, you're scared, but you need to also look at, like, okay, I'm clearly not happy here right now. Things seem like they're on the rocks. There's a lot of drama. I don't feel like the leadership is doing things properly around here. And it's like, it feels like the boat might be sinking. If the boat might be sinking, don't try to hold on tighter. Look around you as, okay, are there any places I could move to? Is there a different department I could move to? Is there a different company I could move to? Put up protective boundaries between yourself and worrying about this, and do that by finding other avenues for you to go down. Because I know it's tough and it's stressful to, go back on the job search, and maybe you're really new at this place and you're like, okay, I finally found a position that I like, only to find out that all the leadership and all the people around you are miserable and fighting with each other, and it doesn't seem like a great environment. So I want to just give you this advice of have some other possible job offers in your back pocket, because what I see with the moon, if you look at the card up close, this lobster, which I think is you, is trying to crawl out of this water, get onto land, and go down this path that's like between all these fighting dogs and stuff like that. But what might be better is, okay, is there a different path I can take? Just straight up, like, is there a different job? Is there a different department? Is there somewhere else that I could move to? Because this is not a great environment. Like, the moon card itself, there's just so much uncertainty and tension that I'm seeing in this card. It's like you just gotta hop to a different card. You just gotta go to a different place. And like I said, I understand how stressful that can be. I understand how stressful the job search is, and maybe you finally found a place where you're like, yes, this is it, only to realize a few weeks in, God, I hate it here. And instead of trying to hold on tighter to the sinking ship, like I said, allow yourself to put up some walls and say, okay, they have their own problems. I'm just going to stay in my lane. I'm going to do my thing. And if I feel like this boat is going down, let me look around. Is there any other boat that I can jump to? Is there any other company that is hiring right now? Is there a job I'd rather move to? Because if you are really getting a sense that this thing could crash and burn at any second, don't just try to hold on and pray that it's going to get better. Like, take some action on your side. What can you do in order to ensure that you're going to get to a different path? You're going to get to a different boat. Preserve yourself first. These people have their issues. Let them fight. Let the leadership not be leaders. You're moving on to something better. So point blank, that's what I'm seeing for your job is, honestly, it might be time to move to something new. I feel like I've been talking about my mom a lot for some reason in these readings, which isn't normal. I don't usually talk about her all the time. But for her, for instance, she just moved to a new job because her old job, the leadership were not great. They were clearly favoring a different department. And because of that, everybody in her department were dropping like flies. Like, everybody was just leaving. And like, it got to the point where she was one of the last people there, and they're like, please just stay on, like, we'll give you whatever you want, like, why is everybody leaving? And like, she agreed to stay on, but it got so bad that she just like left, and she's like, you know what, I don't need all the things that you're gonna give me, I'm moving on. I think that's what you need. I think, honestly, what I'm seeing in your cards is this isn't really the place for you. Or unless the leadership decides, like, okay, we're going to wake up and take some action, it doesn't look like it's going to get any better. And who knows how long this tension has been going on for. So now moving on to your hobbies and stuff, because work is its own separate problem. What I saw for pile 1 and pile 2 is, like, they were going down the right path. They were in the correct places. It's just, they were maybe neglecting their hobbies, neglecting rest, and so they just needed to partake in that and be less of a workaholic in order for their work to improve. For you, I feel like it's very cut and dry. Your work is its own separate problem. You need to wash your hands of that. But moving on to your hobbies, you have the Queen of Swords and the Death card. I feel like you, for a long time, have just really neglected doing anything just for fun. Maybe because your work is taking so much of your focus, and rightfully so, that seems pretty stressful. Or, maybe they're working you to the bone more than you should be. Like, maybe they're trying to make you work overtime constantly, and it's just, because of that, you come home exhausted, and you're like, the last thing that I have time for is, like, video games, for instance, or, like, writing fan fiction, whatever you're into. I feel like it's just, you've truly buried it, and you're like, I can't go to that. Like, it's dead. You're like, I love those hobbies, but I don't have time for them. I need you to exhume those hobbies, bring them back from the dead, allow yourself to partake in them. If your work is using you like this, making you constantly work overtime, working you like a mule, I'm sorry, but we are working so that we can live, not living to work. And this job is not treating you right. Like, I'm clearly seeing, like, they're working you to the bone, and because of that, you've had to bury what you love? Like, no, that doesn't make any sense. Exhume that. Make some boundaries with these people. If they want to fire you, I mean, like I said, that's why we're already looking at different opportunities. That's why you should be having some other things in your back pocket, because this is not how you treat your workers. This is not how you treat people. There's a lot of problems going on here. And the reason that I see it, you have a lot of problems at work, with the management, with the leadership, is because they themselves have personal problems. Like, I feel like a lot of those people are very unhealed, they're very unhappy, and because of that, they're taking it all out on those around them at work, especially those beneath them that they can control. So you just need to distance yourself from that and never feel like you need to bury what you love. Never ever bury your passions or your hobbies, because we only have so many things that we truly love and care about in life. Like, I feel like you could count on one hand, what are you truly passionate about? Like, is it pottery? Like I said, is it writing fan fiction? Whatever it is. Maybe it's like riding motorcycles. Don't ever, ever bury those passions, because those passions are all that we have in life. Like, other things will come and go, but what we truly love, that is yours. And never let anybody tell you that you need to get rid of it or not pursue it. And then finally, with your rest and relaxation, you have the Nine of Wands reversed and the Cleanse card. I think you need a deep cleanse from a lot of the stress in your life. The Nine of Wands is all about, like, stress and pain and just feeling, like, anxious and, like, unsafe. You just need to do a deep cleanse of, like, all these things that have been stressing you out, all this weight on your shoulders. First of all, if a lot of it has to do with work, start just brushing that off. Like I said, make firm boundaries between yourself and your work, and start looking around for new things to jump to, because I truly see, like, unless the management and leadership start working on themselves, things won't be changing here. Like, it just seems like that's the boat you got on, and you're like, I didn't sign up for all this. It's really infecting my own life. Like, no wonder these people are so unhappy. They've been here for longer than I have. That itself needs to be worked out. Once you can brush off all the stress of that, do you have other stresses going on, like family stresses? Are those things that you can work on? Or, health stresses? Can you devote more time to that, to taking better care of yourself? Because it seems like with this Nine of Wands, each one of those 9 wands is a different stress in your life. And you need to really, like, instead of just letting them control you, letting the stress control you, lift your head up, look around, identify all of the stressors, and then work on slowly removing all of them and getting rid of all of them. Because the first step to cleansing your life of stress is identifying the problem. Okay, what's the problem? Right, I've identified it, okay? How do I get rid of it? You need a deep cleanse of the stress in your life, because that's what's preventing you from getting a proper sleep or proper relaxation. Like, maybe even if you tried to meditate, I just feel like this would interfere with that. Like, you need to get to the root of the problem first. Like, I'm imagining all these wands that are in the ground have these deep roots, and you just gotta pull them up, like, uproot all of them, get rid of all of them, and then rest. Relaxation will come to you. You'll allow yourself to partake in your hobbies. You'll be feeling a little bit more upbeat. And if you can move to a new job, I promise you, life will turn around. Like, I truly see currently work is taking up like 70% of your mind. Like, 70% of you is just deeply unhappy because of this. And if you don't make an active change in your work life, it's just going to keep spreading across the rest of you. You're going to keep, killing more of your hobbies. And you're just going to have more wands, more fears, more stresses popping up around you. So you got to attack the root of the problem, and then brush off the rest. Like, truly, I would encourage you, start now. And if you can't leave your job right away, like I said, get on LinkedIn, start the job search, maybe networking with people, or if there's other people at your current job who you can tell are feeling the same way as you, maybe talk to them a little bit and be like, hey, are you happy here? Like, are you planning on leaving? Just kind of covertly, like, don't do so in a way that you feel like people will hear and then be like, you're fired. Like, tried to commiserate with somebody else that you feel like gets it and is going through it as well. And like I said, if there's nobody, highly encourage you, get on LinkedIn or get on whatever job search site and just look for something new, because I really see like this is a lost cause. This is a ship that was sinking before you got on. It's no fault of your own. Like, you got on something that was already going down. You just gotta hop off. So, pile 3, I truly wish you the best in that. I know it's gonna be very stressful, but I think things need to get a little bit more stressful before they can all be removed and before you can properly remove them from your life. It's like you gotta go down in order to go up. So I truly wish you the best. Praying for you throughout this. I know it's going to be a tough time, but you're going to get out of it. I promise you, nothing that I'm seeing here is the fault of your own. It's the fault of your circumstances. I don't think this is what you were expecting when you got into this job, but life can be better. There are better jobs out there. This is not what every single job in the workforce is like. This is not how it's supposed to be. And I truly wish you the best. So, thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.